So it ran 150,000 kilometers, or what is that, 90 plus thousand miles of boost operation, real life operation. Drove it every single day. Sat at 10 pounds boost every single day. I did spray methanol into it in order to give it a little bit more octane and cool the charge and help try to keep the engine under control. So I thought maybe some people might be interested in, what the engine looks like after that amount of time. So, first off, the crank. We pulled out a bunch of pistons and we're taking a look at things. And let's see if I can get that. The crank's actually not in terrible shape at all. So it definitely has to be turned 10. When I run my fingernail down there, it's like a saw blade. And I've been really good at doing oil changes on this engine, so because knowing that I was, overloading the engine all the frickin' time, I kept the oil changes even short of factory interval. But it still seems to have ground the rod journals into a, like this one's really good. See, I don't have any problems with that. So the rule of thumb I've always been told is if you're just doing an inspection, you run your fingernail across it, and if it's absolutely smooth and you don't feel any grit on your fingernail, then that's absolutely fine. You just continue on with it. If it measures out and everything else is fine. Whereas these ones here, they're all like that one's gritty. This one's really gritty. This one's a nail file. And I'm thinking that's debris that's gone through the engine. And I'm thinking it's carbon debris that got into the oil. Because one of the things I have seen here, other than what took the engine down, is the pistons appear to be getting over temperatured. So they've been building up burnt oil carbon inside the wrist pins, and the wrist pins are showing signs of overheating. So I'm thinking the pistons during longer pulls of boost, like running up the Coquihalla at 8 pounds boost for 20 minutes straight, it was overheating the pistons and causing carbon buildup in the piston rings and in the oil release gallery. But it's not bad considering it's 100,000 miles and it was a stock engine. What did take the car down is I got greedy with it at the very end there, and this spring I got racing some friends of mine, and they happen to have Hellcats. So I bumped my truck up to 15 pounds of boost to see if she'd take it. I don't know if you can make that out, but right there, the ring line is broken. And it is broken right there and there. So what happened is that piston ring overheated, started to close the gap, had to swell, there was nowhere to go. So instead of being able to push out through the cylinder wall, it deflected down and it put too much stress on the piston ring land and actually broke the ring land between the first and second ring. Chunked it in about 3 places too. But it got me home. It's puking smoke like crazy, but got me home. The rings themselves actually didn't wear that badly. So there has been a fair amount of gas going around the inside of the ring, which I was a little surprised at. And the bores themselves are showing a lot of wear on the thrust side of the piston. So it's actually kind of carving its way through the fucking engine block. As the piston's being depressed down into the bore and pushed in, it's being pushed down and out at the same time. And it's wearing into the side of the cylinder bores pretty good. Now saying that, if I hadn't broke the piston, she'd probably keep running for a while yet. She wasn't anywhere near failure. The oil pressure was still medium to poor, but not terrible. And she did do 15 pounds of boost the day before she died. Well, the day she died. The cylinder heads were in really good order too. I was really surprised, but there's actually no pinging or knocking in the heads. I don't see any, of the textured aluminum where you've been knocking the aluminum surface off. That's under control. So the detonation was really well under control. And the valve recession is very minor. Honestly, you could probably clean up the set of heads and reuse them again on a stock application. The cam chain has taken a bit of a beating. It's, they're a little on the slack side. But That's just the kilometers on the engine. I mean, nothing to do with boosting it. Also, the rods, I'll measure them up a little bit later, but I don't really need to, because if you pop the bearing, come on, get out of there. Fine, be that way. See what I care. Take the damn cap off. And it doesn't matter which one I do, because they're all done exactly the same way. It's also been overloading the bearing caps. So these are the split cast metal rods, broken cast metal, I think they call them. And the hell? Is it trying to like run this engine? Why is this red threaded all the way down? Ah, gotcha. No, I should just show you on the top. But they all look like that. Every one of them's got signs of overstress and overheating. Now there is no cracks or anything I was able to see so far, but you can see it's tempered through the center of the bearing. And like I say, it doesn't matter which one you pull, they're all like that. So the rods never failed, but they are out of shape and they are showing signs of being overstressed and overheated. But like I said, there was no piston cooling in this engine at all whatsoever. This was just standard jacket cooling, standard 6-liter block. Just a friggin' truck I bolted a turbocharger to. This thing, I don't know if you guys have seen the slipper of the video, but it's done a 12.5 quarter mile in a fully dressed Yukon Denali Premium. What else do we need to know? Valve train was not bad. The lifters and everything, I mean, they're end of life, but none of them collapsed, none of them failed. There's a fairly standard scuffing on them from their operational cycle, but in all honesty, again, they weren't failed. I mean, I would have continued to operate with these. The engine built up gunk like fucking crazy everywhere. And again, I think that's because the turbo oil comes back so fucking hot that it actually destroys the oil and seems to build up inside the engine carbons. And like I say, in certain spots, like inside the pistons, inside the piston rings, the piston wrist pin, it's actually developed some pretty serious carbon deposits. And like I say, this was an engine that had its ass blown off it all the time and was spraying freaking water meth into it too. So you'd think she'd be quite clean. But goes to prove, good tune, lifting your foot when it starts to rattle, and keeping your maintenance up, and fuck, you can pull a lot of friggin' power out of one of these engines for a long goddamn time. All right, that's it. Bye.